Hey, blessings, everyone. I am Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transitioned Mind and VP with Minds Up with my beautiful queen, Takiyah Diamond. And today, just decided to just drop a live on you guys, basically on a continuous basis, speaking about the topic that I have listed above in the description. And that topic right now is being led by the Spirit of God. I know many of you may have heard a topic similar to it, but I just felt the need to actually touch on this particular topic today. But for those of you that are tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you very much. Thank you for the love, likes, and support. Make sure that you like, do, share, and subscribe, and also just spread the word about this message, guys. So once again, I am Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transitioned Mind and VP with my beautiful queen, Takiyah Diamond of Minds Up. So guys, from a couple of things that I've recently been just thinking about and meditating on, it really was just dealing with being led by the Spirit of God, where I notice it's not always the easiest thing to do. A lot of us get so wrapped up in our actual plans, and a lot of us end up basically forgetting that a lot of things don't necessarily always go according to our plans. It doesn't always go according to what we always desire for the outcome to be. However, that does not mean for us to actually neglect the process of actually planning, because according to Scripture, it tells us in the Bible that we should plan. It tells us basically, he who fails to plan fails. That little segment right there is letting us know God is not telling us not to plan anything. Of course, we don't have to worry about today or tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself. We should have an outline or an idea of what we plan to, in order for us to progress in life gradually, for us to actually be able to obtain just that growth right there. So from my recent experiences, I'd say for the past month, I've been kind of exercising that a little bit more, and I come to have more of an understanding of when we're being led by the Spirit of God, we should really allow ourselves to really be guided. We should pace ourselves, because sometimes what happens is we have all these plans and we're so anxious about accomplishing them. Once again, nothing wrong with that. But the problem right there is just being so anxious about something. God tells us in the Scriptures to be anxious for nothing. That's really God's way, not to stress, not to worry about what's going to take place, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, or if it's even going to happen, or if it's even going to be a success. When we begin to do those things, we end up creating that spirit of doubt, feeling in those thoughts of doubt, which cancels out us and our connection, our wireless connection between us and the Most High God, us being able to be guided by Him. And when we do that, some of us begin to panic, and we end up not being led by the Spirit of God. We're led by the logical mind a lot of times. We're led by just the emotion of a lot of things. And as we know, and if we observe, that emotions, they're temporary. Emotions come and go. And that's something a lot of us really have to understand. That don't necessarily base everything based upon emotion. Yes, it is challenging. Yes, I'm challenged with that from time to time. However, from me being challenged with that, I do observe and analyze to see what needed to be done. Or was it time for this to take off? Or was it time for this particular thing to actually happen? You see, one thing I've learned as well is it's nothing wrong with thinking, there's nothing wrong with thoughts. And it becomes a problem when we begin to worry about it. This is how we can identify whether we're worrying about something or we're just simply thinking about it. When we think about it, we just allow it to process. It's like we just allow it to process and take its route, take its stream, and just take its path. We're not holding on to anything. We're not creating any form of resistance. We're not meditating on it over and over and over and over, especially if it's something negative. The moment we begin to wonder, I wonder if this is going to happen. I wonder how it's going to happen. I wonder if it's even possible for it to happen. Or, if this does happen, I should do this because I know that if I do this, blah, blah, and you're just going on and on in circles. That's you creating worry. Because if you ask the Most High, if you ask God for something, if you ask the universe for something, just believe that it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. Yes, see a positive outcome with it, but don't restrict yourself, don't restrict the hand of God from being able to move on that. Because what happens is you place yourself in this box, and that box has walls under it, on the sides, and on top of it. And it disables you from being able to breathe properly, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Because even your breathing pattern changes. So guys, I want you to understand, when you begin to worry, when you begin to be led by yourself and not being led by the Spirit of God, which for me is the Holy Spirit, what ends up taking place is you enter that realm and that thought process of worry. When you worry, it allows all these distractions to have access to your current progress, to your current growth rate. It allows it to restrict it, to stunt your growth is what actually ends up taking place. And those distractions can come in many shapes, forms, and sizes, and from many different people and faces. So that's why me, for instance, if there's something that may be planned, so to speak, it's actually a recent experience. And it's beautiful that it did take place because it actually confirmed something in my spirit about the situation that's been going on. When that ends up happening and you allow doubt to take place, you allow fear, worry, and anxiety, all those type of things, what ends up happening is you end up making the wrong decisions, the wrong moves based upon temporary feelings, emotions, and situations, which will create a long-term, in some cases, a long-term effect on your decision, on that circumstance. So being led by God, being led by the Spirit, it relieves you of trying to play the role of God, which He is almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing, omnipresent, where He's able to handle all these things at once. It's supposed to take a load off of you so you can feel lighter, so you can think and operate clearly with the clear vibes, high vibrations, and just be at peace. That's where the scripture speaks about peace of mind. It's giving you all these steps, all the elements needed and necessary, and that is required for you to be able to plan and to take those steps to progress forward without resistance, without hesitation, without being blocks and barriers consciously, because that's what happens when we begin to do that. We start operating out of the fear, and we allow it to control us, where it ends up having us sabotage our own time, our plan. If a meeting didn't go as planned, so to speak, right? Let's say you have a meeting, you have a scheduled meeting. You're supposed to contact a person upon arrival, right? Or you're trying to contact them to basically be up to date or for the posting. You reach out sincerely. However, your attempts to reach out, I'm not saying they were in vain, but they weren't let through. They weren't approved, which is a better term to use. Your way of reach out, it was not approved by the universe or by the Most High, whichever term you would like to utilize. It just was not released, and you were not released to do so majority of the times. That's really what's being said. If you made all the attempts possible to connect and it did not take place, it's not that the person is ignoring you, because these are things that comes up when fear enters, when doubt begins to enter, where anxiety enters, when you try to control the situation takes place. These are the things that comes about. You start already thinking something negative and producing all this negativity, all this toxic energy, which my Queen Takiyah would actually speak on. It just creates a toxic atmosphere, which makes it very toxic and poisonous and contaminating to your very being. So sometimes just allow things to flow. Go with the flow, just like water, as I spoke about in my previous lives. Just allow things to flow. Stop trying to build up a dam or build up a wall to stop the flows of the water, the flows of the universe, the instructions and the guidance in the hand of God. Stop putting up those barriers, the things that are stopping the flow. Sometimes it's for your own protection. Sometimes when people say, oh, let me pray about something, and allow that to take place. Allow that to manifest. Allow God to have time to speak to you. Now, this is a person that is supposed to make the initial approach. Allow God to speak to you and minister to you, to let you know if it's okay to reconnect, if it's okay to proceed with the process. Allow God to be able to instruct you of how to go about it, how to handle the situation or the circumstance. God will never allow his children to be put in harm's way when he's the one leading and guiding us. He will always have a form of protection that leaves us from any possible danger. It may not be an extreme danger like life-threatening. It could be emotional, it could be spiritual, it could be on a mental level, it could be all of those things. And God is just simply protecting you as his child. And same thing for the person who may be expecting to receive, let's say, a phone call, a text message, an email, a fax, or anything to that nature. The person that's going to receive it don't necessarily take personal time as what would I use? The assumption. Assume that the person didn't put their effort to actually reach out where it can go through because it blocked. Meaning, you call to go through. When you do that and you start to really be like, okay, this person didn't contact me, this person didn't keep their word and all these things, that's not always the case. Sometimes, yes, it can be the case where some people may have actual excuses about it, but when the excuse is eliminated and the person is here and they're showing integrity about it, and you know, listen, here's what happened, and you still decide to judge them based on misinformation or false information assumption, which is usually based upon emotional decision, then that creates it also breaks and destroys that bridge. And this is what the enemy wants, because this is another part to the message. Be mindful of certain things that are at work, such as spiritual in high places, which the book of Ephesians in the Bible speaks of. It says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. Also, one thing that you guys may be aware of or may not be aware of is he's called the accuser of the brethren, which is known as the devil, the enemy. When there's things like that going on, where it's like, okay, what's going on with this communication? And both people are making attempts to communicate, but it's failing. That's usually two things: God protecting, number one, or it's the enemy trying to sabotage because he's all around when he hears things being spoken. The enemy, he has like code and command words that cause him to react. When you speak upon certain things, the enemy may actually very well put something in your ear or something in your mind and your thoughts. It causes you to either overreact or think something negative. So now he has access, legal, spiritual access, to intervene and to start to put into his little works, his little schemes. We have to be able to identify, is this God? Is this the enemy, or is it me or the other person? These are things that can take place. But that's why it's good and imperative to have a strong sense of discernment. Discernment will allow you to be able to see, hear, and feel through the essence of God, to be able to identify what spirit is at work, if it's God or if it's the enemy, or if it's even yourself at times. So what you want to actually do a lot of times is really just pray and meditate and ask God, God, is this for me? Is this supposed to happen? Was it supposed to happen? Or does there need to be more time in that season for it to mature, such as the situation, the circumstance? Does it need to actually mature a little bit more? Does there need to be more time for this garden to actually take root and sprout and bring upon its fruit? We can't get so caught up in trying to make a garden grow. Sometimes it may be the soil. It's not that you're not a good farmer. It's not that the seeds are defective seeds. That's why Scripture tells you. Jesus, he uses the parables about the sower seed. Like some sowed on good ground, some sowed on rocky soil, some sowed on the wayside, on the curbside, some fell upon rocks, thorns and thistles. When it's speaking about that, it's saying the seeds that you put out into the universe, your words, your intentions, your plans, your goals, your dreams, when those are seeds that are meant to be planted. If they're not put in the right environment, they will not grow. Or they may grow, but they may be snatched away, such as the seed by the wayside that falls on the wayside, or the seed that falls upon the rocky surface, or falls upon a rock. If a seed falls upon a rock, we got to understand the predators that are around us in our environment, such as birds, such as small rodents, any type of things. That's their main source of food. They feed on seeds, whether it be a bad seed or a good seed. What ends up happening is those predators, spiritually speaking now, will come by, swoop down, and snatch it away. And you're like, what happened? I just planted that seed. We just had a conversation, or we just had this agreement. We just had this meeting, and now we made progress, and we start to see some growth. We start to see some green, and now it's gone. What happened? Those elements that are listed, those predators that I mentioned, those natural elements that took place is what happened. A gust of wind could have came and swoosh, swoop past the seed and knocked off the rock. It could have very much rained. The seed needs water, right? So it could have rained on top of that rock. The seed was able to absorb some of the water to allow it to be able to grow. But here's the thing. It grew, but there was no roots for it to anchor itself on. So when the wind came by and blew it by, such as spiritually speaking, in the atmosphere, a gust of wind came by and blew it away. Now it's gone because it wasn't able to hold on to something. There was nothing for it to grip and grasp. It was just something. When people say, we'll just leave it up in the air, that's what that means. Or the enemy or a predator came by nature, came by, swooped, it ate the seed. It needed to feed on something. That can be ego. Ego can be one of your predators. Ego can be that bird. Ego can be that rodent. Usually I'll say the ego, EDO, I'll say usually the ego is really symbolic to a small rodent. The reason why I say it's a small rodent, usually a lot of us may not be able to see the mice that might come out at night in certain neighborhoods, or sometimes in your home or your basement. You may not be able to see the rodent basically eating the food right away, but you may be able to hear it. You may be able to see the after effects, such a result where you turn the lights on and boom, you see holes and nibbles inside of either clothing or the bag or like Tupperware or something like that, or a hole in the wall. You might see the after effects of it, but does that mean that your house isn't clean? Does that mean that somebody can clean up? Does that mean you need to get rid of the entire house? No, it does not mean that. It just means that, okay, you need to set a trap to be able to trap the enemy. So you need to, first of all, be able to stay up sometimes. Stay up. These are speaking, I'm speaking about the watchman. So we pray and intercede. Stay up during those times. Be led by the Spirit of God and stay up. And be a watchman during those hours, during those times, throughout that season. So when you're a watchman, you're sitting up high, as I am right now, and I can look down, I'm able to see if I see like a rodent running across the grass or running across the roof of the house or the side of a house, or I can see where their entrance is to go into a basement. So number one is being able to identify the signs of infestation. That's number one. Number two, when you're able to identify the signs such as any tears, nibbles, holes, droppings, waste, feces, or anything like that, that's a sign that there's an infestation or there's a rodent or a pest. The second thing to do is, okay, prepare to set a trap of particular food. Why do I say that? Particular food. Go to your garbage can. See what food that you actually had recently that the rodent was trying to get access to by nibbling through the bag. So that's step two. Setting a trap. By using the trap, analyzing and observing what is the bait that needs to be used to be able to catch the enemy handed, be able to see the enemy for who the enemy really is. You'll know, okay, if it's a mouse, you can use this trap. If it's possum, you can use this trap. If it's a bird, you can use this trap. If it's a squirrel, you can use this trap. All these different things. There's different traps for different types of rodents, enemies, or pests, right? But you have to be led by the Spirit to follow His instructions to help you identify. Discernment, right there. Identify equals discernment. Setting a trap, which is analyzing, meditating, and preparation. That's what setting a trap includes. Then third, just wait. Wait patiently. This is where patience comes into place. This is where you simply just wait, and you are sure and confident that, okay, I'll put the traps out. I know that the size of it, I know the weight of the rodent or the pest that I'm trying to capture, and I know the characteristics and shapes and forms that the enemy takes place. I know its identity. So now I know what proper traps to set to capture it. When you do that, you wake up the next morning, or let's say you finish waiting and you wake up the next morning, you go down to the area where the enemy was known for nesting at. You'll be able to see, wow, I got him. You were able to analyze. How can this be applied to you in your life? Okay. Let's say you're in a situation, or you get through a situation where you have a conversation with a person, right? A real heart-to-heart conversation. And that person ends up bringing up that conversation outside of its context, right? But here's the thing. You didn't hear it from that person directly. You didn't see that person do it directly, but you heard of it from somewhere else. You saw the signs of it. You saw the nibbles, the holes, or that. By that bag, right? But wait a minute. There's only a handful of people that I know that express this. So that means someone in that circle has leaked out information that was for me and that person. That you identify. They leaked out the trash. They fed on the trash. And therefore, what happened with rodents is starts off with one, and the next day, and then you're on week or a month. Now you're seeing bigger holes. You're seeing more feces of droppings, and then at the same time, now you're seeing that okay, there's more than one because you caught the first one, but now there's another one circulating, and you're still seeing the same signs. That means that there was more than one rodent. Because what happens is, by nature, when a rodent or a pest or animal, by nature, when they find a source of food, something that they feed on, they bring in others, they invite other rodents or other friends to be able to come and partake in this meal because it's a free meal for them, such as gossip. They feed on that negative energy, that top waste that was meant for the trash, thrown in a garbage can. They invite others to feed that trash. So now you're like, okay, you thought you caught the enemy and you thought that was going to resolve the problem, but now the same thing is happening again. Okay, it means simply there's more than one enemy that's at work. And that's where the scripture speaks about a legion of demons. It speaks about that scripture about the man that was possessed with seven spirits, and it identified itself to Jesus, saying that it's not one spirit, but it says we are legion. That's because it came with more than one. It brought a family. It brought to a buffet. So now you have to go back and analyze and get more traps. Now you have to invest a little bit more energy to be able to prepare more traps, to be able to catch all of them. But sometimes you doing it in singles, one by one. It may not always work. This is still being led by the Spirit of God, being led by the hand of God. Sometimes you need to drop a bomb. You need to bomb the place. When I say bomb the place, let's say roaches or whatever. And people notice the little combat, little house isn't working. Catch roaches or little things aren't always working. Next thing to do is get the gas bombs and bomb the entire place, so it'll seep through the cracks of walls and the little hiding places that the enemy is hiding, or the pest, so to speak, because the enemy is a big pest at times, or little, and you're trying to get them to scatter, to leave. If they don't leave, they're going to die suffering because of gaseous fumes there. So sometimes you have to drop a prayer bomb. The Holy Spirit will give you the instructions to drop a prayer bomb of intercession to eliminate all of them, no matter where they're hiding. That's where prayer and fasting comes into place, because now you're prepping, you're putting together the works. So now you can drop it to eliminate them. So guys, just from you looking at that, that's just letting us know. Do not be discouraged because you sign the best. Do not be discouraged or even blame, fault, or misjudge others because you're seeing signs of a real manifestation. Look at it as, okay, God is trying to teach and show you a lesson. I wouldn't have been able to express and even utilize that particular analogy unless I've experienced that myself. For those of you guys that may have experienced infestation, like roaches or rodents or possums and squirrels and birds, termites, all of those things right there, guys. You all know, if you're a homeowner on apartment, you've seen these type of things actually at work. But these things were meant to happen. You may question, why is this place infested? Well, it was infested because God had a message to be delivered, so we can utilize these same techniques to get rid of the enemy, the accuser of the brother. We love to see those that are in love to bicker and fight with one another, to create division and separation, especially when there's something great and positive that is at work. That's the enemy's job. That's his nature. He doesn't know what else besides create negativity. He feeds on that. That's his food. So we can't blame the enemy, but however, we can prepare. We can be led by the Spirit of God to make proper decisions, proper judgments, to make a clear atmosphere, to make a pest-controlled group, to make a pest-controlled business, to make a pest-controlled home, apartment, whatever place that you're establishing something, you make it to where it's pest-controlled. So guys, this is really something that is just so broad when it comes to analyzing things, whether we use this for business, whether we use this model for like relationships. Understand, analyze. You're watching the enemy. You stay up, pray, fast, intercede, watch the move, wait for you to hear the sound, so you know where you need to focus on your attention, focus your eyes, focus your vision on. You'll be able to identify which direction you need to focus on. Second, after you identify it, you analyze, you prep. You prepare the trap for the enemy. Next, you have the trial period, where now you put into action a trap, to utilize the trap. Once you execute that, if you still see the same results or something after you already caught the enemy, what ends up happening is you need to see if you need to add more traps, because depending on how long that enemy's been feeding, there's others that's around. So because there may be others around, you have to continuously, that's why it tells you to pray without ceasing. That's why God always tells you to have that relationship where you're constantly in meditation, where you're constantly in communication with Him. So that way you are never any steps behind. You're always a step ahead of the enemy to properly prepare, to be proactive. So really just think about that and meditate on that, guys. And just know that when you're led by the Spirit of God, you have to use and make proper judgment and discernment before you make that judgment call, before you jump to assumptions. And yes, this is a daily practice that we all have to practice each and every day. When we do that, we'll find ourselves having better relationships with one another. Because the enemy loves, once again, I will always and keep reiterating it, the enemy loves to create friction. He loves to create misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and to cut off lines of communication. The enemy loves that because when he isolates, then he can begin to work on each individual to where he basically works on them individually. Since he can't take them as a whole, the enemy will single out people. That's why I said together we stand, but divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. Yeah, the reason why the people fell in the first place was because they were divided. They allowed the enemy to get in between to divide them by taking out their lines of communication. And that's one of the main tactics in warfare. You eliminate their lines of communication, their long ranges of communication, or their short lines of communication. That's just how the enemy works. So guys, just really be on the watch of that. Those are the names. The accuser of the brethren is the name of the enemy. Expose him for who he is. So guys, just really listen to what I'm saying, what I'm expressing to you guys. I know this video has been a little extended, but I cannot express enough to help you guys to be able to see this for what it is. And don't allow the enemy, the accuser of the brethren, to interfere. Understand, this is something that's even scientifically shown. He's called the Prince of the Airways. If he's called the Prince of the Airways, what does that mean? What travels through the airways? Cell phones uses wavelength, radio waves to transmit a frequency. Where does frequency? Where is the frequency transmitted through? The airways. Where's the television waves or RS waves transmitted from? A device, and then it's put into the airways. It's put into the atmosphere. If the enemy is the prince of the airways, that means he has access to be able to manipulate or even stop lines of communication, wavelengths, vibration, sound, frequency is what we're speaking here. The enemy has the ability to stop and cancel those things, or to manipulate it, because that's one thing I'm very strong on speaking. The enemy cannot create, but he can manipulate anything that's already in existence. He can manipulate the image of things. He can manipulate the sound of things, the tone, the pitch of things, even the character. Such as, for instance, there may be some people, you may actually experience this before, where you may be texting and sending a text message or email, and you not recognize where it was in all caps because you were multitasking and you just happen to just send a quick message and everything's in all caps. The person receiving that may be like, hey, why are you yelling at me? Why are you coming at me with such aggression or attacking me? And the person on the other end that sent the message, they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not yelling at you. Like, that it was just automatically put into all caps, and the person may have not recognized it. Or, however, in my case, most people know me for, if I send like a text or something like that, my signature usually is I'll have a capital letter at the beginning of each word. That's just so the person knows that, no, this is really me speaking. But if I don't always have that, I'll let the person know that it is me, like sending messages, right? But that's just my way. It's like a hashtag, so to speak, when I have capital letters at the beginning of each word, right? So this is how the enemy manipulated this situation. The enemy manipulated the situation by having the person to take offense to it, to where it was misinterpreted, and the enemy was able to work through the airways to manipulate it, to make it seem like, oh, the person was yelling at them and was disrespecting them. However, that was not the intention. That was not what was even being done or even thought or processed. That's just the way the person types or speaks or texts. So just be mindful. Don't fall for the tricks and the schemes of the enemy. When your spirit, you don't fall for these things. This is why I'm still speaking about being led by the Spirit of God. You don't fall for the enemy when you recognize these distractions and you see that it's a spirit, also known as Leviathan spirit. That's another one that you guys can speak. Leviathan spirit, we cancel that right now in the mighty matchless name of Jesus Christ. We cancel the attacks and the works and the manipulations of the enemy, of the Leviathan spirit. We cast it down in Jesus' name. Whenever we speak about those things, we have to take away its power by letting it know, listen, I serve a God that is greater. You may be the prince of the airways, but my God is the king of the airways, which means he supersedes, he overrides whatever you may have tried to put in progress. He approves and overrides anything that the enemy may be at work at. Especially the fact that you're a child of the Most High, which means that, okay, the enemy is the prince of the airways. If we're children of men and women of God, children of God, doesn't it rights, doesn't it power? He gives us that power, that acts, that authority. Because we're not operating just from our level of being. We're operating from here, the Most High. We're operating through him. That's what it says. Through him, we command these things. Through him, we speak these things. Through him, we declare. When we do that, it's us taking out our name, our low grades, such as, okay, we're operating from a prince standpoint, and now we're operating from a king or a queen standpoint. We're operating from that authority, which overrides authority. So we just have to really focus on this and know our actual rights, know our power, know what we possess, and not fall for the tricks and schemes and deception of the enemy by allowing us, having us to think that we don't have to. So to know your power, guys. So just a quick recap. Identify the enemy. Look at the signs. Observe and analyze. Pray. Intercede. Prepare. Be proactive. Set the trap for the enemy. Execute the trap. After you have the trap done, evaluate the situation. That's the fourth step. These are the first steps. Identify, analyze, prep and prepare, set the trap, and then lastly, you observe. You have to see the results. You have to observe the results to see if you need to go in there and do it again. Even with my queen, Takiyah Diamond, she would speak about that all the time with Minds Up. So all our clients, even she reminds me of myself. What you want to do is, sometimes it's a process. You have to go over it over and over with cleansing your energy, praying without ceasing, cleaning up your energy. That's what that means. Cleaning up your energy to clean up any of that negativity, those toxic beliefs, those toxic words, those phrases. Eliminate those things, and you have to do it over and over. Continue to create a cycle where now you're purging and cleansing yourself of that negativity to where now you're operating at your optimum. You're operating with a high vibe, positive vibe, smile, love, vibes. And then you allow God to flow and take care of the rest. So guys, with that being said, just be led by the Spirit. Allow God to lead you and not fall for the tricks and schemes of the enemy. Remember, identify, analyze, execute, and then lastly, you want to record it. You want to observe it. You want to make sure that you document the progress, the results of it. Guys, thank you very much. Once again, I am Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of Transit Mind, and VP of Winds Up with my beautiful Queen Tk Diamond, and also shout out to Queen Mother Amaku for her lovely team for the transformations, guys. So thank you very much, guys, and love you much. Make sure you share. Love you guys much.